Hello, everyone, and welcome to Griplock's preview of the Jonesboro Open coming up this weekend. Jonesboro, Arkansas, one of the longer standing?
2017.
So one of the longer standing tour stops.
I think it was like
on the Pro Tour.
on the original Pro Tour.
No, 2016 is the original Pro Tour.
So the second year.
So the second year.
Yeah, it's up there.
One of the classic events. It's going to be interesting this year in particular because it's a week after a major, which typically it just kind of causes some weird things on the leaderboard wise.
Yeah.
Usually the only events we ever see are like the week after USDGC, which is much different than the week after Champions Cup because it's a full season in, or the week after Worlds. And typically you see players just have a hard time bouncing back because of how much mental focus and preparation goes into a major. I don't know with an early season major what it's going to be like, though.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little like, because the thing is, too, with the 4 major schedule, whenever we had only Worlds and USDGC last year, I remember literally thinking that it felt like Worlds was the finale of the season.
Yeah, it felt
like,
weird.
When there was another event next week, you're just like, what?
I have a little bit of that this week. Not like the end of the season, but a little bit of like we're already back at it.
Right. It does feel weird that we're already back at it. I agree with that because you do invest so much more focus into the event when you know it's a major. Even just as a spectator, you're paying really close attention to all the storylines. But yeah, I don't know. It's the brand new major. I think of all the majors, this will be the least. You have the least effect for this one because it's just the newest. So that's just how it's going to be until there's some history there. But it was at WR Jackson. Like it was like kind of a big deal. Obviously, it was a wild finish. It's 4 rounds of golf. That I think factors into it too. So yeah, there's definitely that feeling. I think that as far as the players' mindsets, obviously, if you're the major champion, I think that we could see almost like a letdown week because you're riding that high of that major championship. Whereas I think and that's not necessarily going to happen at all, but it could be. And then I think for a lot of the other players who finished really close, this is almost probably feels like a revenge week. Like, okay, this week we're going to get it done. So I'll be curious to see where a lot of like the close to first finishers end up in comparison to the champions from last week, just to see if there's any kind of weird movement.
Yeah, because like I said,
it wouldn't surprise me if this was like a fluky event, like a Vegas, to where like things just are kind of all.
That's
over
what
the
I'm
place.
saying, because I feel like that kind of has a tendency to happen the week after a major in general, just because like you were saying, there's so many emotions, so many things that go around a major, and one thing, regardless of where people finish, is there's so much preparation leading up to that major and so much focus, even from the beginning of the season, that when you quickly turn around, a lot of times it can give us an advantage to the field almost over the players like Chris, Ricky, Paul, Calvin, because like, I don't know. We'll see what this is because first year major doesn't have as much importance and stuff. So
and I was kind of thinking through. It's funny. I was thinking through like I've been thinking a lot about the whole majors thing and like, trying to think about how are these players processing a first year major and like how are they thinking about that? And what it really came down to me, what I actually realized is like, at the end of the day, those players, the reason that they're going to care a lot, it actually came from an interview I just had with Paul Ulibarri, where at the end of the day, no matter what year major it is, whatever, they can call themselves a major champion, and they can add that to their major titles for their career. And I think that is people forget a lot about that, regardless of the history of the event, because it's brand new and the field or whatever.
A major's a major.
You win a major, you now are a major champion.
So are you willing to admit 2018 Konner?
Did I say it wasn't a major?
Every time I say Eagle McMahon's a major champion, you come after it.
I feel like that's a shtick. Was the field full? Is that why I come after it, or was I just doing a shtick? There's been noises around here all day. Just let it happen.
I swear that was a door opening, but I don't think it's a shtick. Yeah, I don't know if it's a shtick or not. Regardless,
I feel like I would have been maybe halfway serious if there was like not a full field at the event. I think
it was a European major, so. Depends on your definition of full field. Like the top guys were there, but it wasn't like a full field.
I don't know.
But doesn't matter.
Let's just start counting this year.
Okay.
Everybody's back this year.
Okay. Because like Chris Dickerson is now a 2-time major winner.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
So it'll be interesting to see how players bounce back. That's definitely something to keep an eye on, but again, tough to know until we actually see it. Talking through the course though, overall, very scoreable course. There's only 5 holes last year that averaged over par, with the hardest hole being hole 18, which averaged 0.41 strokes over, which I think's pretty fascinating. Because for some reason in my head, I just thought Jonesboro, like it is a tough course, but it's not like super tough. And I guess it is kind of like a park style course in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
a lot more
super tight.
open. And I don't know.
It did look to me from just some clips that I was seeing that distance is an advantage.
Yes,
because
big
there's
time.
long par threes, especially
And there's some OB that takes a lot of distance to clear.
Yeah.
And if you want to go for it, you're going to need distance.
The guys who can really, and that being said, obviously everybody at the top of the game right now throws plenty far. It's not like we don't really in disc golf have anybody at the top who it's like, ooh, if it's a thrower's course though, like a really long course, they're going to struggle. That's not really the case.
No.
There are guys that we know probably won't.
They'll excel more at it.
Yeah, they won't
course.
sneak up the leaderboard, and they're guys that you can like look towards more. But like all those guys at the top throw really far. But
yeah.
it looked like it'll be a factor. I'm curious to know what the FPO. I know they're playing short baskets. I think
some baskets, some tees.
It's a mix. So I'll be curious to see how that layout shapes out.
There's enough OB in play on the course to at least be considered, but surprisingly last year it didn't seem to be that much of a factor. It seemed like most players just went OB a few times throughout the event. It looks like there's a lot of like when I'm looking at the event and like thinking if I was playing the course, I would go OB several times.
Right. That'll be interesting because at the major last week there was really no OB, so that was something that players weren't even having to think about. And going back to a course that does have a good bit of OB, your strategy, and you have to concentrate a lot, to think okay, this is where I can't miss. So I'll be curious to see if there's an early barrage.
It's also a lot of having to clear. There's some par threes where you have to clear. There's an island hole.
Yeah, they have an island.
And stuff like that where on the tee you're making a decision of go for it or leave it or lay up short, and the players choose to go for it. Obviously the OB's in your head enough that you might pump it deep.
I want to see more disc golf holes like that to where there is an option to par 4 or par 5 to where you have an option of trying to clear something or laying up short.
Now, what do you think? So, one of the holes, I believe it's hole 14 at Jonesboro. I forget the distance, but it pushes close to 400 feet. OB just shy of the basket, but it's a par 3.
Yeah.
Thoughts on something like that? Because it's a very risky 2, but it's not long enough to be a par 4.
Yeah, I mean, par is obviously interesting in disc golf. I would rather see them stretch that a little bit further and
make it a 4.
Make it a 4 to where it's still achievable, but now it is really tough and far enough now to where even when you do lay up, the upshot is still somewhat difficult to protect the birdie. I don't necessarily because then you have a more incentive, I guess, because if you have a potential eagle and a birdie that's just a super easy upshot, people are going to go for the birdie. If you have a potential eagle and, if you lay up, you still have to throw a shot over OB to a tight landing zone, there's more incentive for the eagle because now you might be separating an additional stroke or 2 if they go out of bounds. So, yeah, I personally, I'd like to see that more in a par 4 or 5 layout. But, I mean, as long as it's feasible to where people are actually going to go for it, I'm fine with it because it just creates separation and it's a storyline and it's interesting to watch. I definitely like having options, though, like that off the tee. But if it's just to where it's it's there, but nobody's really going for it all week unless they're out of the tournament, then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember in the past, this was a tournament where it kind of helped, if I remember correctly, it kind of helped shape the way the Pro Tour and Elite Series tournaments treat the FPO field in a way, because it's a way that they design the FPO course to be similarly scoreable to the MPO course.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we've talked about that before where the scoring disparity can look so drastic because they'll either... Jonesboro took it a step farther than just changing the par. They actually made the course where they're playing a similar course. The holes are recognizable between the two if you're watching both coverages. But it was one of the first courses to provide different tee pads, different basket locations, and only changing the par when necessary so that it's a similar scoreability for FPO and MPO without it just being... instead of a par, we'll make it a par 3 for MPO, par 4 for FPO type thing.
I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen an FPO layout yet that they're scoring into double digits on a consistent basis, per round.
No, I don't think so.
It's almost been every event is
this one's going to be close.
Yeah, if you get to double digits total, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, one because last year I believe Katrina Allen averaged close to 8 under par. I think it was a little over 7 under par to win. She won by 8 strokes.
And
Paige averaged 5 under, came in
Paige
second.
have like a crazy round here a couple years ago?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think is where she shot like, it was double digits.
I'm pretty sure that was here.
Yeah.
But it's a course where double digits per round is attainable in both fields. And so I think that's going to be pretty exciting. Sticking with the FPO, I think one thing that's on a lot of people's questionnaire list leading into this is, will Elaine King still be on commentary? Obviously, the whole thing went down with Kristen Tatar's daughter and Elaine King's involvement in that whole situation. If you want more details on it, I have a Twitter thread where I explain pretty much all the details I can find. I also talk about it a lot on debate night. We went through a whole section, and you can find interview with you can also find an interview with Elaine King on Smashbox.
So yeah, with the commentary, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they have a second group of commentators that they've used, so like, I mean, I'll be bamboozled if Elaine is just straight up back in the booth.
It's a weird situation because like,
I feel like they're going to give it a week or two to cool it down,
because it's a lot of overreaction, to be honest, happening by the disc golf community. But there is some justified reaction within that.
No, it would, like, if the Pro Tour were to say that she's done in the booth, for like, that would not be unreasonable. But if they were to bring her back and she were to apologize, I wouldn't be like, that is unacceptable.
Yeah, I think that's where the issue is aligned.
But it was bad
right now. Is so far Elaine King hasn't truly apologized. She's explained her reasoning, and again, I fully believe that her intent was for the good of the event. I believe her intent behind her actions was positive. I think that her actions were just there's not really a reason to ever text a competitor caddy or be in the booth texting in a way that could influence an event.
Yeah, people do get fired
regardless.
for stuff like that in the professional world. Like
Well, it also is a question, too, of just I've never thought of it until this moment. Like, is it a conflict of interest to have a board of director member from the PDGA being a commentator? I don't know. It's
There's
weird,
a lot
like
of weird conflict of interest questions in disc golf.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
people
an
wear a
interesting
lot of
one.
hats.
I think, another problem I think is that I really doubt that whenever any commentator goes on, they lay out any kind of guidelines for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Don't say this, do say this, because I mean they're out there. Again, we've talked about a ton of free advertising that they always do. If they came up with a list of rules of what not to say, I'm sure there's no way that would be on there. And then I think that they're just not really given a lot of information or guidelines as to what to do whenever you're a commentator.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird one just because it almost like it backs the Pro Tour into a corner slightly, because you don't want to just shun Elaine King in a lot of aspects, because she has done a lot of positives. She has done a lot of great things. But at the other side, you also don't want this to be an okay, acceptable standard, because where it ended up being an okay situation when it was all said and done. It could have been worse, right?
Well, Kristen did lose the major.
She did, but this happened on hole 3.
Right, but
Kristen had the lead going to hole 18.
You're right. I'm not saying that is
We can't.
But the problem is like, she did lose, because I think if she won the major, this would really been hush hush.
Yeah.
The fact that she lost means that there's still a reason to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is, if everything is just smoothed over, we just move on like nothing happened. It raises a question of like, what if? Because Brody brought up a good point of Nate Sexton's a commentator, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's not texting about a rules violation of, hey, so-and-so's really been doing this, you can call them on it. Even if it's not that, if this is the standard, I don't think anyone would do this from the booth, but it opens up that it might be allowed of Sexton's friends with Germ, obviously, be like, hey, dude, hole 6, there's a sneaky headwind. Everyone's ending up way shorter. Heads up.
No, yeah, you're
and
right.
then it's like,
that.
Like, once that line of communication, it's like, hey, it's okay for commentators to get insight, get extra information that people on the ground might not have, and send it to the course, send it to specific people.
Yeah.
That's a line that just can't be crossed.
That's the first. Yeah, the first thing I thought of when she texted, I was like, that is just like, there's a reason that in all professional sports, like, cell phones are not a thing. Like, the fact that you even see players on their phones during rounds is very weird, because like, your phone is a training aid. Mm-hmm. You could literally be on your phone looking at like tutorials, which is like, it sounds ridiculous. They're pro disc golfers, but it's like professional sports, like the cell phone communication is X-Nate. If you have your phone out on like an NFL sideline, like the fines you get are crazy. Like PGA Tour
because
players,
there's a lot of information you could be getting. You could have
like
all kinds of
the
things.
easiest thing to do is just say no phones. Like it just makes things a lot more simple. And I understand it's weird right now because of live scoring. Like players, that's really the only way they're going to get scoring information. There's not just scoreboards all over the place. So like I really don't think it's going to be a huge issue for players per se, but when it's that obvious that stuff is coming from the booth, like for the commentators to tell them to just put their phones away, that's not a difficult thing to do. Say, hey, no phones while we're in the booth. Like that's policy. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if that becomes a policy.
It's going to bother. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying like the Pro Tour, the thing about the Pro Tour is like, you know, they're not necessarily the people to like crack down on stuff and be super harsh, but they do take feedback, and the feedback has been loud.
Yeah.
So it would. I mean, I just wouldn't be shocked if that was the last time we see Elaine in the booth.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It was also interesting to see
people
the
were fired
Instagram response and the Facebook response to her post. Facebook, a lot more like, it's okay, Elaine. We know you're a positive intent. A lot more love, like it's okay.
Well, that's
it's okay.
because it's her Facebook friends.
And then Instagram was like, even post 2 weeks ago, are like, oh, you're using that Bushnell to snitch on people. Like people are going at her neck.
Maybe?
Yeah, it is interesting difference going on, and I'm just curious what'll end up happening.
I would love to know what the process is. Like I would imagine, like if the way it probably should work is after every event, there should be a team that meets together with the commentary team, and you go over the whole event and just like what we did right, what we did wrong, blah blah blah. Like I would love to have been a fly on that wall and just like know like how they addressed that. If they were like, oh, it's no big deal, like just don't let, like I'm surely they had to like have a serious talk about that because like it was a very big issue.
It's fascinating, but yeah, you're about to say something, Konner?
Oh, I was just gonna say if we go down the route, which it only makes sense, of no phones, that's going to make a lot of players upset because of listening to music. But
that's another thing that
we've also talked about this.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, they could have somebody in the ear saying, "Hey, up here, you know, there's a sneaky something down the fairway."
That's what I'm saying. Like, as soon as you open phones, like, we're not saying any of this is happening, but it can. Like, think about it. You got an AirPod in, and you've got your buddy who happens to be a spectator.
That's what I was saying.
Down ahead of the course, like feeding you information on stuff.
It's almost something where
phones are just
someone needs to just be the person who pushes all these. It's like, this is a stupid rule, but it's in place, or a stupid non-rule, so I'm gonna take advantage of it and just, hey, I'm gonna send my wife in the crowd and I'm gonna be on a phone call with her, and she's gonna tell me what's going on up by the green every hole.
Yeah,
just so I have the information. Because like until the boundaries get pushed. Because obviously that's something that like shouldn't be able to happen. But until the boundaries get pushed, it sounds like a ridiculous thing. Like who on earth would do that? It's like all it takes is one, you find out that the person who won the major had information the entire time that no one else had on the card, and they weren't sharing.
It's super weird. That's why because phones can do so much. It's like obviously there's
this is a whole computer in your pocket nowadays. Isn't that wild?
It is just weird. It's
How
really
do they fit
weird
a computer
to me
in this thing?
because like when you watch any other pro sport, you just don't see a cell phone come
Back
out.
in my day, the whole room was a computer.
Yeah. So whenever they like they're showing players in between holes and they're just like playing Candy Crush on their phone, it just like it's very foreign to me. I'm just like, that's so weird that like you're allowed, because like even in I played high school golf. In high school, you're not allowed to have your phone out. Like that's you'll get DQ'd. Like you're just not allowed to do it. It's just like it's kind of just a thing. So it's weird seeing it in disc golf, and like I'm sure Disc Golfers United are about to absolutely destroy us for that take. Just like, what are they else are they gonna do between backups and blah 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 blah.
Hacky sack, baby. Come on.
Yeah, get the hacky sack out.
You're not getting any wind read from hacky sack.
Or I don't know. Just sit there and wait.
Another storyline as we head into Jonesboro, I think, is Kevin Jones historically does pretty well here, even when he's not had the best seasons.
This is the only time he ever won anything, right?
I don't know. If that's it. I don't know. I didn't look up to that much. This is also
Kev's coffee.
Home somewhat. It's obviously he's in Arkansas, from Arkansas.
Yeah, wait, no, he didn't win this. I just looked at the previous winners.
I was gonna say, I
think every year people just go like, Kevin Jones returned to his home. Like,
but he does, like last year he came in fourth.
Whoopty.
And like, okay, but this year he's averaging like 24.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like it's so funny that like that's the narrative, but like
no,
he
performs well. I never said he wins here.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just saying like that's like a lot of people say that, not you. Like
he's the Jonesboro golden child.
Yeah, Kevin.
But like
Jonesboro.
I'm just saying like this could be a momentum builder for his season.
No, dude,
it could be.
I'll put $10 right now. He does not win.
But would you put $10 doesn't come top 5?
Yes.
Okay. $10. There we go. I don't think he's gonna
Obviously,
win.
you owe me 10 if he doesn't come top 5.
I
Yeah,
will.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win, but that's what I'm saying. It's
I
like,
don't think you will. I don't know. He just hasn't been good this season.
He wasn't good last season.
Pick him for your top 3, Hunter. You won't.
I won't.
I feel like he was better though, wasn't he? Did you look at it?
I looked at it.
Okay.
It was a very similar start.
We'll see.
And he came in 4th. I just feel like he's comfortable here. We'll see what happens. But this could be a turning point to his season if he's able to pop off, get up in the top
here's the thing. I like Kevin Jones, so I
love Kevin Jones.
I just get mad at him because I want him to be good, and I want him to be another face that's like up there competing for wins because I like his game too. It's different. It's refreshing. And he's not.
I think that's how everybody feels about Kevin Jones. I think in everybody.
He's Ricky Fowler. He's literally Ricky Fowler. Like that's who we compared him to last time.
He's Kevin Jones.
He's literally. You mean figuratively?
No, literally.
Oh.
They're the same person. It's
Holy
wild.
cow,
that's why.
crazy.
That's why they're both struggling. They're trying to play 2 sports professionally.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's right. Kind of a similar stature.
Splitting hairs. That's not what that means.
Nope.
Okay.
Good though. All right, my keys to victory here. I actually
Don't be
combined
Kevin
them.
Jones. That's your key to
No.
victory.
Kevin Jones is going to win this weekend. You watch.
That would be awesome.
I'm going to combine
That's not top
the
5,
MPO and that would be top 5. MPO and FPO for these keys to victory because they're both the same. First one is the only statistically backed one because there's only one stat that matters out here, and that's gain tee to green. It's a big stat for both MPO and FPL, and it's a thrower's course overall. And I think the players that can give themselves opportunities will be near the top of the leaderboard.
I love a thrower's course.
And I think the secondary part to that, the second key to victory for both, is to be aggressive because players need to constantly put themselves in a position to score regularly out there. MPO, I think, will need to average over double digits to be in contention. And I think FPO will need to push double digits every round. And both of those scores require an aggressive attacking mindset. And like I said previously, it didn't seem that OB rate had a direct correlation to finishing spot. So being aggressive and ending up OB here and there is better than playing it safe and not ever being in a position.
Well, if Paul can shoot 16 under at WR, then like should be seeing 18 under here.
Yeah.
How do you not think that way as an athlete when you do that? Like thinking to yourself, like, well, what the heck? Like, if I could do that.
Gave me that, Pim. Yeah. So coming into this weekend, I am now in the lead with 40 total points.
Boo.
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 Konner is in second with 33. Woo. And Trevor is in third at 27 points. Let's get into predictions.
I'm goated, dude.
I'll lead it off.
Yeah,
I'm
go
going
ahead,
with
winner.
MPO.
See those?
Yeah, I did. Woo. Third place, I'm going with Mr. Thrower himself.
Oh.
Senior Throw,
You better
if you
have
will.
Kevin Jones in there, dude.
Drew Gibson, third place.
Wow.
Second place, I'm going with Hot Hand,
Hot hand.
Mr. Paul Macbeth.
Okay. Okay. First
Throwers
place,
course,
Kevin Jones.
he's a good thrower. First place, Ricky Wysocki. He's
Man.
always in contention at Jonesboro.
He's won it every time except for one.
I think it's Ricky's tournament. So that's my 3 for MPO. Let's go with Trevor next.
You got me. You got me real good.
I've got Paul in third place.
All right.
I've got Chris Dickerson in second. Can't pick against that guy. I just can't. I don't
Can't
have the
do
heart
it.
to do it because
Doesn't
he's
have the heart
so
to do it.
consistent. He's like my Calvin Heimberg from last year, where it's just like every single event I'm going to pick him in second or first. And then I've got Ricky in first because, yeah, I think Ricky's going to be.
He got that slammer.
He's got that slammer. He's had a week to dial it in now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You do not want weak dialed slammer Ricky.
you do not want that. And I also think that he's going to be very hungry after last week.
I'm very
seemed,
hungry.
Me too. He seemed very upset about not winning that major.
Alrighty. I've got in third place Christerson Dickerson. That's Chris
Nice.
Dickerson for people in the back.
Oh, shoot. I already wrote it down.
And then I've got in second place, I've got Ricky Wysocki taking it. Second place. And then I've got none other than Paul Macbeth. I think he's I think he's riding that high. And once Paul's on, he's on. And I think he's going to be on for this tournament.
So we all have Ricky and Paul in our top 3. You all both have Dickerson, and I have
Yep.
Drew. Should
Yep.
be an interesting one.
Yep.
Konner, keep it rolling. What's your FPO?
All right, my FPO pick, get ready.
I'm ready.
Get ready.
I'm ready.
I said that like it was going to be interesting. It's not. I've got Kat in third place. I picked her for first place for the Champions Cup. She let me down. And then I've got Kristen in second place. She was second place, Champions Cup. I feel like she'll stay there. And as much as I didn't want to pick Paige, because I felt like as I was watching coverage during Champions Cup, she was just hitting trees left and right.
There's no
on,
trees
though.
out here, though.
It was
And
No
she didn't
Trees
win.
Page is dangerous.
but it felt like she was It felt like she was playing really rough, but she still won. So I'm just saying, if Paige plays rough,
if you can
wins.
if you can win on your bad days,
exactly,
it's pretty tough to pick against.
It's hard to
them.
bet against her. So I'm going Paige, taking it down first.
All right,
place.
Trevor, what you got?
Here's the thing. I really wanted to put Haley King in here somewhere, but I'm just not ready to do it yet.
Okay.
That's just what
This
I'm
would be
saying.
That's big of you to admit.
Yeah, big of me to admit
I feel like this
that.
could be the course for it to happen, though.
It could be.
I've got Kristen in third.
Okay.
I've got Paige in second, and I'm going to go with Katrina in first. I feel like it's her turn. And she finished that major. She started out poor, but she finished really strong. So I think that would give her some momentum. It's a thrower's course.
All right.
And what I always say, I've said it so many times in the podcast.
Hey,
Kat is
come
the best thrower of the
on.
disc in FPO.
You stole my whole line.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. There's not going to be much separation on FPO because I've got Kristen Tatar, third place predicted, Paige Pierce, second place, and Katrina Allen, first place, because I've said it many times. I'm not going to say it again. But I do think it's a thrower's course.
I heard
Kat's
that,
the
but I was
thrower.
too hurt. I was too hurt from last week.
No, that's fair.
I respect that.
That's fair. We all have the
I
same
respect
three.
the heck out of that.
We all have the same.
Somebody's bound to get it right.
Yeah, we all have the same three
Or we
in
all
FPO.
get it wrong
So
when
we're
one other
either
person
all
gets
getting
in
points
there.
or no one's getting points.
Yeah.
True.
Dark horse for me, the man, the myth, the legend. He's back.
He's back.
And better than ever.
He's been back.
Mr. Eric Oakley,
Eric Oakley.
is my dark horse pick.
Good pick. I thought about picking him last week for the major, and I was like,
You
it
should
might
have.
be too soon, and he did really well.
Trevor, what's your dark horse?
Dang.
I am doing what I swore to never do,
Ooh.
Oh.
and I'm taking the dark horse himself.
Wow.
Mr.
Smith.
Brody.
Dude, you know that it's an emotional game to play. That is brave of you.
I'm already crying.
That's big of you, man.
All right, I'm going with
I just tried to smooth my
Ben
balls.
Calloway is my dark horse pick.
Great pick.
Now, why did you do that?
I picked him because I like Ben Calloway.
I haven't seen
and
his
he's
name.
not in the top 50.
I haven't seen
and
his
he's
name
playing this
anywhere.
Good
tournament.
logic. Good logic. Good logic. He also has a really good logo.
Yes.
Konner just wins no matter what.
Yeah.
So, although my dark horse
What
picks
do you
have
mean? I
actually
lost
been
last week.
My dark horse picks have been good this year.
It's even rather dark horse, if you will.
Literally this week.
So there you have it. That is the Jonesboro Open preview. Pretty short preview. I think felt kind of short.
We're just
Maybe it was-
exhausted from the major.
Yeah,
There's so much major things.
I
Should
think
be-
like Pavlov's law, every time that you say there you have it, my body makes me clap. I don't have it.
There you have it. All right, and well,
That's Hunter's law.
you have it there. Nice, dude. Coverage will be obviously live on the Disc Golf Network every day. Jomez, Gatekeeper, all that good stuff will be post-produced next day if you want to keep up with it. And should be a good time. Should be a fun tournament. And we'll be back Monday in a car to recap it all
It's
for
gonna be
you.
awesome.
That is really sneaking
gonna
up
be
on us.
awesome.
It's
Huh?
really sneaking up.
It really is.
Only a few days away. Wildness. We'll talk to you Monday.